Hey guys, it's Jedi Lex, and welcome to the 14th episode of Beyond Tatooine, where I bring on different collectors to talk about how their love of Star Wars originated, as well as take a look at and chat about their collections. And on today's episode, I have Gianni from the IamGianniV channel. So how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on Wookiee Whispers. That was super fun. I enjoyed that. So glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we had a blast. I mean, the conversation was natural and it just flowed. And I don't know. Now I feel like I have like a forever friend. So this is dope.
Absolutely. I feel the same exact way. But for people who may not be following you, can you tell us a little bit about your channel, what you focus on, and where people can find you at?
Absolutely. So if you guys are looking to connect with me, you could find me across all platforms at the same exact name. It is I am Gianni V. That's Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, X, the whole nine. That's where you can find me. I go live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. for the Wookiee Whispers podcast, where we have kind of very similar to this layout. And we have collectors and creators of all sorts of paths, whether they're in Star Wars or whatever, come on in, talk about their histories with Star Wars and stuff, and their collections as well. So stay tuned for that. And I drop basically a lot of review videos. So my channel ultimately started with me creating review videos, and I still do those to this day. And then it eventually evolved into the podcast, but mainly I do like lightsabers, helmets, Lego sets, anything like that. So if you guys are interested in product review videos for Star Wars, I'm your guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will put all your information down in the description so that way people can find you. But how did your Wookiee Whispers come to be? I know that the podcast is like fairly new. I mean, so is mine. But what kind
Yeah.
of pushed you to creating a podcast?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it's very interesting. So I've been on YouTube for a little over a year and a half now. And it was just product reviews. And then I got to a place where I was like, yo, like I'm getting a lot of views and stuff on my videos, but I'm not getting a lot of like returning viewers. And I realized that with product reviews, it's mainly because somebody's like, "Oh, I want to see like this particular product. I'm going to search it." They find it, watch it, and then that's it. They're basically done with you at that point, right? So I was like, "Okay." And that's just kind of how that section of like content creation works, unless they really like vibe with you,
Hmm.
they typically don't hit subscribe because they're just really there for that one video. So I was like, okay, well, that's great. We're getting views, we're getting likes, all of that. But I want to create like something that's everlasting. I want to create a community, right? And I was just brainstorming on different ways that I can do that. And so I was actually just chit chatting with some friends and stuff, and they were like, well, why don't you just like live stream or like a podcast or something? And I was like, I've never really like thought about it. Like I've seen a bunch of other people do it, but it was never a thing where I was like, you know what, like I want to do that. It just wasn't a thought. But when they brought it up and they were like, we think you'd be pretty good at it. Like it was going to take some time, right? There's going to be a learning curve, but you could definitely do it. And I was like, interesting. So then I was like, why don't I podcast and live stream at the same time? Really just do it up, right?
Two for
So,
one.
yep. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure that out. So then, but that was months ago because the podcast started in January and now we are in March. So, we're relatively new. I think we're going on our seventh or eighth episode at this moment. So, depending on when this airs. But so yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. But mind you, I've never live streamed, I've never podcasted. I don't know anything about it. I just know how to record stuff and record myself. So it took a while. I think I've been trying to learn how to do this for a few months now, like YouTube videos, reading blogs and stuff, cameras, microphones, how to switch it up, like systematic things. And then I was like, okay, I feel like I got a good grasp on how to like do it without actually having tested it out yet. I was like, well, if I'm going to do this though, I need a name. And that was a whole journey in and of itself. So I started like Googling like Star Wars podcast names that have already been taken because I didn't want to, do the same thing, obviously. And uh, I couldn't figure it out, man. It took weeks. It probably took like a month and a half. And so it got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for a walk. And I went for a walk and I just started just like randomly like spitting things out. And then what happened? What was it? I just got done finishing. Was it Bad Batch? What's the episode where Gunji's on it? Is it in Bad Batch? I
I
forget.
think it's Bad Batch. It's like one of the season 2 episodes.
Yeah, because I was rewatching Bad Batch. That's what it was, and Gunji was there, and for some reason I was just like Wookie. I'm like, ooh, I kind of like that. I was like, I got a big old beard. You know what I mean? I'm brown. I was like, Wookie's kind of cool. I was like, how can I play with that? And then honestly, I just had Wookiee for like a hot minute. I was like, all right, because a lot of people do like Sith or they do Jedi or something of that sort, but I haven't heard anybody do anything with Wookiee. So I was like, all right, that's what we're gonna do. It kind of like ties with me a little bit, so that'll work. And I was like, well, I don't want it just to be about anything. So I was like, and I want it to like roll off the tongue. So that's how eventually I came up with whispers. So it's like Wookiee whispers. It just kind of like rolls. Um, and the reason for that is I chose whispers because whispers is something that is kind of intimate, right? Like you have to be close to hear the whisper. And because I wanted the podcast to feel very like family oriented, like best friends, and just kind of like just two friends or however many is on at that time, just having a conversation. Something about the word whisper, like if you and me are whispering in the corner, the people on the other side of the room are gonna be like, what the heck are they whispering about? Right? They want to know more. So stuff like that. Also, too, like whispers itself is kind of like you could even play it off as like the whispers through the galaxy, like just like the little things that it's not mainstream, it's kind of like underground. That's kind of what we are. And so I was like, that's it, Wookiee whispers, and then it came alive after that. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I had the thought of doing it because I've seen like Tony does podcast and it's like really
Mm-hmm.
successful. And I was like, you know what? I really enjoyed when I went on his channel and did it, like the Sith Talk. And I was like, I kind of want to have my own like spin on that, but I really like looking at people's collections. And then
Yeah.
I actually ran into Eben at the like Fanboy Expo in Orlando,
Oh,
and I
cool.
was talking to him about it, and I was like, yeah, like I want to start a podcast, but I really don't know how to go about it. Like I don't even know what I would name it. And I had the
Right.
same problem. The name was like a huge like wrench. I was like, I want to do this, but what am I going to name it? I need something that's unique that
Yeah.
isn't taken by anyone else, and that's like really hard to sift through because there's so many Star Wars podcasts out there.
So
So I
many.
like, yeah. So I texted my mom, my dad, I texted some of my friends. I was like, yo, I want to start like a Star Wars podcast and I don't know what to name it. And they like sent me some ideas and stuff. And I ended up just pulling Beyond Tatooine from like a few ideas. And then it
Okay.
kind of just started. And then it's been really great ever since. So I think it's awesome that people are starting podcasts. I love listening to everyone's podcast. It's like, it's so cool. And like you get to hear different stories from everybody. Like, even if it's the same person on different channels, you get asked about different things and you talk
For
about
sure.
different things, and it's like really cool to like hear everyone's perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, everybody comes from like a different walk of life.
Yeah.
Their experiences are different, the way they view the world, the way they view Star Wars. So you could be asked the same one question, and I could be asked the same question, and then that can take you into two different, completely different avenues of conversation. And I
Yeah.
think, like, I'm like, how do I say this? My podcast, and I think it's very similar to yours, is that like I personally don't dive into lore. That's not my thing, right? Like that's not my specialty, and I'm not going to sit
Yeah.
here and lie to people and say like I know everything about Star Wars and all the deep cracks. I don't. But I'm secure enough to say that I don't, right? Like it's okay. Like there I might say something and I might be wrong, and that's okay, right? And I shouldn't be expected, or you should be expected to know everything. And that's why, like with my podcast, I wanted it to be very kind of loose, just friends who love Star Wars, and let's see where it goes, right? and
Yeah.
which is very much the vibe that I feel here, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it. So I guess we'll jump into kind of how you fell in love with Star Wars and where that originated. Did someone introduce you to it, or did you kind of stumble across it on your own?
It's a little bit of both. So this is a story. Strap in,
Yeah,
kids.
go for it.
So Star Wars has always been a thing in my house. Whether parents were cleaning the house or whatever, and it was just on TV, my dad would put it on because Star Wars is Star Wars, right? Like the way I grew up with it around was it was kind of like history. You need to know Star Wars, and so but it wasn't like a thing where I was like I took it on my for like myself, like like it was just yeah, like that's Star Wars. I know everything that's going on. I've seen it a bunch of times because it's just like on, but it wasn't like my own at that point. I ended up getting sick right around I don't know my ninth, 10th grade year of high school, and I was just stuck at home, and I was like sick, like sick as a dog, and so I had an Xbox 360. I think it was Xbox 360 or was it Xbox One at that time? I don't even remember. One of my Xboxes, I was able to stream, like go on the internet and stream, and I was able to find Star Wars like bootlegged on there.
Nice.
And I was like, I had nothing better to do, so I ended up watching it um in timeline order, all of it. And then by the time I hit like Revenge of the Sith, and mind you, I've already seen all of it, but never in this like way, never in like to where it all just like made sense. And once we hit Revenge of the Sith, that was it. I was locked. I was locked in. And that's where it became like real. But then that's right around what year is that? That's right around like '06, '07 for me. Um there's a long gap where there was no Star Wars, right? And I know there's like Clone Wars and stuff like that, but I really wasn't getting into like animation at that time. So I wasn't watching Clone Wars. I didn't get into Clone Wars till a little bit later, or a lot later, right? So fast forward, 2015, I think it is, came out. Star Wars finally releases a movie. I go see it, and I'm like, oh, that was okay. Like, you know,
It was alright.
like not bad, but it wasn't great. But I was already a fan, so we watched it and whatever. And then I watched all the movies as they came out. But I wasn't like at that point, wasn't like collecting. I think at that point I had a few like Star Wars like Lego sets and stuff like that. What else did I have? I'm trying to jog my memory. I think I had a few like action figures. Like I had like a Darth Vader action figure, and I had a Luke. Um, but I wasn't like collecting,
Yeah.
at that time. I just really loved it, and it was Star Wars. It wasn't until around 2000 and 2020, like a little bit after Galaxy's Edge opened. So that's about 4 years plus ago. I'm in there. I'm like, I gotta go. I need to see this place. I'm seeing the photos and the whole thing, and I'm like, man, like I gotta get it. I gotta get in there. So ended up going. Me and my wife go, and I am blown away. For the first, my hairs are standing up thinking about the story. Uh, for the first time ever, I felt like immersed in this thing that I've honestly loved for years. But like it hit me differently. Like it hit being there, just like hit me here. It kind of always gives me that thought of like when you watch The Grinch and his heart like gets all big. It felt just like that, and just so happened to be that night that I went. Well, I was there all day, but at night it turned into a lightsaber meetup.
Uh,
Yeah, and they don't do that every day. They plan those, but the stars aligned for me that day, and I end up going that night and seeing, and it's packed, and everybody's got their lightsabers, and I am just blown. I'm just like sitting back, like, what am I witnessing right now? Um, and everybody, from like every different walks of life, like ethnic backgrounds, age, whatever, religious beliefs didn't matter. Everybody was in one place, celebrating one thing, and differences aside, everybody was united. And And I just sat there. I didn't have a lightsaber, you know, and so I'm just sitting in the back and I'm just watching this and just completely in awe of the situation. And I was like, man, like I'm in my head, I'm like, I am a part of this community because I do love this IP, but there's something different here that I don't, because I wasn't on the inside at that point, right? Um, so I was like looking at my wife, I was like, I'm gonna get a lightsaber right now. she's like, she's like, you know, those are expensive. I'm like, so what? We're gonna do this. So I find Doc Ondar's. I go to Doc Ondar's and I'm looking at all the lightsabers and I'm like, all right, because they have the glass table with all the lightsabers in it. And I'm talking to the lady and she's showing me the different ones and she's like igniting them and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, quick question: are there like different tiers of lightsabers, like different price points? Because these seem like kind of dim. I want the real bright ones. And she's like, no, like they're all like this, this. I'm like, well, I just saw outside like the real bright ones and like doing the different effects. Like, I want one of those. She's like, oh, those were purchased off planet. And I'm like, I didn't understand, right? And I was like, what do you mean, like off planet? She's like, those lightsabers were purchased on a different planet. They weren't purchased here in Batu. And I'm like, oh, those aren't Disney lightsabers. Got it. Got it. So, and I'm looking at the prices of these things and, they're 300 plus. And I'm like, I'm sure probably those are probably around the same price. Honestly, I didn't know, but that was like my logic and my thinking. I was like, I'm good. I'm gonna do some research and we'll go there. So, and it was already at that point, I don't know, it was already late, 7, 8 o'clock at night. So the park was closing soon anyway. So it was like it didn't really make any sense for me to buy one now. I wasn't really gonna be able to like partake in the festivities. So um enjoyed the rest of the park, and ended up leaving. I went back to the hotel room and I started YouTubing like nobody's business. So also too, side note, I love review videos on YouTube. Like before me doing YouTube, all I did was watch, even if it was something that I wasn't even looking to purchase, I would still watch a review video on it because it's just YouTube's my TV.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the caveats. So we'll get back into this. So then I'm watching review videos. And I'm like, yo, these things are crazy. And I'm like, I need to have one. And so I ended up making a purchase, not that night, but maybe a few days later. And that was my first lightsaber. I ended up getting an Imperial Workshops lightsaber, and I was deep after that. So then I got that. Now I'm deep. I'm like, I want more lightsabers. So I'm watching all these review videos, and I'm like, I can do that. Like, I feel like I can do that. I've never done it, but I think I could do that. And that's how me being interested in making YouTube videos started. Was because I went to Galaxy's Edge and the stars aligned where it was a lightsaber meetup. And, that was kind of the stumbling, like you asked, like, was it introduced? And then did I stumble upon it? It was kind of both, which is really, it's a long answer, right? But and yeah, it's been, my gosh, yeah, I mean that was 4 years ago. So obviously I didn't start YouTube immediately after. Because one, like confidence, I was like, I don't know, what am I doing? Stuff like that. But yeah, and then eventually I just kind of built up the confidence. And obviously I didn't have any like YouTube gear, like
Yeah.
lights and microphones and cameras and whatever. So that took a while. So I think from that moment, it was like, I don't know, a couple years later, like slowly doing research. Is it something that I want to do? Do I have the time to do it? And whatever. But then I think with like the stress of my job, it got to a point where I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to do something for Gianni. I'm going to do something for me. And I need something to that fill my soul, fill my spirit. And I took the jump. Oops. I took the jump and here we are.
Yeah.
So
So I
long
yeah,
story short, right?
perfectly fine. No, I totally get it. I wanna do one of those lightsaber meetups because I see them. They're usually, like, put on by, like there's, like, a group that I follow on Instagram, and they, like, kind of post about them. I
Yeah,
just haven't done it, but when I went to, like, Galaxy's Edge, it was, like, an unreal experience. Like,
for
I
sure.
love Star Wars my whole life, but I felt, like, so immersed in it, and then you get to, like, build a lightsaber or, like, build a droid, and it's, like, those cool experiences that you don't really get anywhere else within Disney or Universal. So I was
Right.
like, "This is really cool." And then I started collecting around, like, COVID, and the first saber that I actually
Mm,
purchased was also from Imperial Workshops. I got their, like,
nice.
$160 NeoPixel, like,
Yeah,
the
the scavenger, I think
scavenger.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, "Man, these are cool, and I wanna get more sabers, but they're just so expensive." And, like, I want the cool
Mhm.
ones, like I mean, you can do, like, a baselit, it's obviously cheaper, or, like, get a
Right.
NeoPixel, but that's gonna come with a price tag, and then if you want, like, a replica, that's even more expensive than, like, a custom one, and I was like, because I really want, like, an Anakin lightsaber, that's, like, my goal. If I get
Which
that, I'll
one?
be happy.
Which one?
Honestly, any of them, I don't know. Why? Which one do
You
you have?
I've got like the original Graflex. Um, this one.
Nice.
See if that'll zoom.
Yeah,
There we
that's
go.
a nice one. Yeah, probably that one, honestly. That's pretty sick.
I love it.
Ugh, jealous. I'll have to check that out. But yeah, I
Yeah.
really want a lightsaber like that, but yeah, I don't know. I totally get it. Because then after I started collecting and stuff, I was like, "You know what? Like, I really wanna do something for me." Like, I see all these other people on YouTube that I've been watching, and they're basically just sharing their collection, they're sharing their pickups, it's nothing that I, like, didn't see myself doing, and
Right.
obviously, there was a huge learning curve that went with it. Like, I just started with a camera and, like, a little table. I didn't even have, like, a stand. It was, like,
Right.
so out of focus. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was like, "It'll get better," like, you just have
For
to
sure.
trust the process, and then you start getting all the materials, the camera, the lights, the background situation, and it just got better and better, and I feel like it has been such a positive thing for me because I feel like with work and life, like, you just have so much stress, but then when you do this and so don't get me wrong, sometimes it can feel like a second job, like, "Oh, I gotta record this. I have to make sure I'm posting. I gotta edit this."
Oh
But then I
yeah.
sit back and I have to think, the original reason I started doing this was for me and because I enjoyed doing this and because I wanted to share my passion of Star Wars with other people. And then
Preach.
I'm like, I kind of just sit there and I'm like, you know what, Alexis, like, just calm down. And then I just get back to it. And I feel like it's the best thing that I've ever done for myself. And I've met so many amazing people, like, even just within the state of Florida, and it's
Yeah.
just been, like, so cool, like, now I can go to conventions and, like, meet people, and people will, like, recognize me, like, "Hey, aren't you Jedi Lex?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am," like, that's insane, and
That's
it's
so
just been
dope.
so awesome, so I totally get everything that you're saying.
For sure. I mean, the community has been super welcoming.
100%.
Because I think like you and I started not too long, like in the same kind of time spanish. And I mean, how many friends have we made since we started? Because we made the decision one day, like, you know what? We're gonna click record.
Yep.
Right? One day we just click record. I mean, I know when I started, my first videos, up until like recently, all of them were recorded on an iPhone,
Yep.
you know? And it started looking better later because of like I started hacking it with lighting and stuff like that. But iPhone. Now granted, iPhones do a damn good job
They
if you
do.
know what you're doing. But like you don't need a lot to begin. And we both took a leap of faith one day. And because of that leap of faith, now we have like this big group of friends from all over Florida, all over the United States or wherever, um, because of this one decision, right? And now we have so many things to look forward to. Like I was already going to conventions off and on. Now it's a little bit more serious, obviously, because the
Yeah.
channel, and now I have friends, so like there's more incentive to go. Um, but now like I have a calendar and I'm like, okay, we're going here and then we're going to go here and then here, and there's something to look forward to, so it gives you like this hope and excitement and all of that, where I didn't have until we had this community, so I'm very grateful.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when I first started, I didn't have that, and, like, I would subscribe and follow and comment on people's stuff, and then I, like, suddenly people started commenting back or, like, commenting on my stuff, and I was like, "Wow, like, these people are so nice." Like, I don't think I've really had, like, a negative interaction with anybody, and I
Me
get there's
neither,
differing opinions, that's totally fine,
for sure.
but there's been nothing that's, like, super negative, and I don't think I've ever experienced that in anything that I've done, like, whether it be sports, another job. Like I've never had a community that's just so nice and like welcoming. And then I started like meeting people, like talking to people more, kind of bouncing ideas off. Oh, hey Lex, like you could do this better. And I was like, okay, well, I really like what you're doing. Like, how are you doing that? Like, what equipment are you using? And they're just so like open to giving you information to get better and what you can
Yeah,
improve on, and, like, no one ever will be like, "No, like, I'm not helping you." I've
right.
never had that happen, and it's
Me
just
neither.
been so nice, and yeah, now I totally look forward to going to conventions and recording, and even more so just getting to meet people. I know some of the big conventions, it can get, like, super crazy, like, MegaCon was insane, but, like, some of the
Wild.
smaller ones, especially in Florida, like, I can meet up with a couple people, hang out, walk around, go, like, toy hunt for a little bit, or, even if we're just meeting up at, like, a mall to go walk around and, like, look for what's there, like, it just
Yeah.
gives me so much to look forward to, so I totally agree with you.
Yeah, yeah, community is everything, and I think that's one of the biggest, for me, blessings of all of this, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, like, you kinda stumbled onto Star Wars, but had, like, some prior, introduction to it. What
Yep.
really kind of made you fall in love with it?
Hmm. Man, there's so many different aspects to Star Wars that I absolutely love, and obviously certain things grew over time, you know? Um, I think for me, the thing that earlier I was saying how Revenge of the Sith, after that I was like locked in. Well, Revenge of the Sith was the movie that I was like, oh yeah, yeah, we're deep. We're deep. So I have a brother, and me and my brother are very close. He's younger than me by 7 years. And so when I think of the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin, there is also a large age gap there. And they were more family than they were like, master and Padawan, right? So um to see, them grow and have that brotherly relationship, and like when Anakin would just do craziness and Obi's like, damn it, like, you know, like little brother, very little brother-esque.
Yeah.
And I just resonated with that. And then like at the end of obviously Revenge, where Anakin turns, obviously that didn't happen anything close to that with my family, but knowing what that must have felt like, and that gut wrenching, like, oh my gosh, like my brother is gone kind of a situation, that like hit me deep because of the relationship that I have with my brother. And I think because I related to that in that way, and like couldn't imagine like what that feeling must have been like. And it just hit me differently. Um, because of that relationship with my brother. So I think that was the initial like, oh yeah, like his world is crumbling in front of him, but he has to do what he has to do. Like that decision, in the moment and all of that, like what he has to do. Like I couldn't make that decision. I don't think I could do that. And so I think, there's a big portion of that there for me.
Okay. Yeah. You're like the first person that I think has like really kind of related it to their own personal like relationships with family, friends, whatever it be. Because I mean, most people are like, yeah, I saw the Tantive go, and then I saw the Star Destroyer, and that was it for me, or the lightsabers. So it's pretty cool to hear that like when people can relate to their everyday life. Because I mean, I don't have a brother. I have like a younger sister, but we're not. She's only 2 years younger than me,
Hmm.
but I feel like I always had that connection with my dad because of Star Wars, and, like, even
Mm.
now, because I'm more into it, like, I used to go to him and ask questions, "Well, how come Darth Vader did this?" Or, "Why did Anakin become Darth," blah, 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 and he'd be like, "Okay, well, this is what happens, blah, blah, blah," and now that I'm so into it, he comes to me to ask questions. Like when we were watching the Ahsoka series, because he didn't watch Rebels, he was like,
Hmm.
"Who is this Hera person? Who's the?" And I was like, "Oh, like let me tell you." And it's now like the roles have kind of reversed, but it's something that
Right.
we've always been able to share. And then like even when I got to meet Hayden at MegaCon, my dad was
Ooh.
like the first person that called me. He was like, "Tell me all about it. Like that must have been so crazy for you. Like I can only imagine. Like Hayden has been your guy like ever since you were a little girl. Like I can only imagine." And it's just like really cool to have that, connection with my dad. Like we'll never not be connected because of Star Wars, and I love that.
That's super special. That's
Yeah.
special. Yeah, I think like with me, like as the years gone on, I took my fandom with Star Wars to a whole nother level where my dad just wasn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so he watches all of it. Like when anything like drops, he's watching it. He's like, "Yo, did you hear this is coming out?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're gonna watch that."
Of course.
But then he watches it, and he's like, "Yo," and he'll be texting me and we're watching it and whatever. Um, but he's not like. But my dad is different. He doesn't fanboy really over anything. He's just kind of like, "Cool, this was great. This was a great show or a great movie. On to the next thing." So it's different. It's different. So it's really cool that you have that. That's dope.
Yeah. It's definitely been like very positive, and like no matter what, like we can always like talk about Star Wars. So that's been pretty cool. But I hear that you keep mentioning Revenge of the Sith. Is that your
Hmm.
favorite Star Wars movie?
Yeah. So Revenge of the Sith is my favorite George Lucas, movie. My favorite Disney is going to be Rogue One.
Okay.
Yep. Um, but man, I don't know. It's hard because I am a big Let's see if that'll focus. There we go.
Oh,
I'm a
Return of
big
the
Return of the
Jedi.
Jedi fan. So it teeter totters between this one and Revenge of the Sith, but I think I always give the edge still to Revenge of the Sith. Because also too, when that came out, I was young. Oh man, how old was I? It came out in what, 05?
I think, yeah, 2005.
Yeah, so I was, I don't know, 13 ish, right around that age. So that was like, that was real. We were in middle school. We were, going to the movies and the whole nine. So it's like, I remember when that came out. So yeah, that was a time.
Yeah, gotcha. I know last year they brought Return of the Jedi back to theaters. Did you get to
Oh
go
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I was there with bells on. It was cool too. The theater was packed. Um and people were going dressed up and all of that. I was like, this is dope. Cuz it's been so many years, I don't know, that cuz when was it? Last movie for the sequels was 19
I think so, 2019?
ish. Yeah.
Around
So
that time, yeah.
at that point it was like 3-4 years, that I've been able to go to the movies and like watch a Star Wars movie. So big deal. Big deal.
Yeah, it was a huge deal because I mean, I never got to see, like, any of the original trilogy, like, in theaters. I probably wasn't even, like, a thought in my parents' brain at that time, but it was really cool getting to go see it on the big screen because 'cause I've seen it at home. I used to watch it on the VHS tapes, but nothing compared to seeing it on the big screen, and then having everyone around you with their lightsabers. There was, like, a bunch of people from the 501st that were, like, in their costumes. I was like, "This is so cool," and because of that, I'm now so excited to go see Phantom Menace on May 3rd.
Oh
I
yeah.
cannot wait. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I got a few friends that we've already kind of planned it out here, but we're gonna go and watch it. So
Nice.
pumped. It's gonna be
Yeah.
dope.
I'm very excited, and I think next year will be the 20th anniversary for Revenge of the Sith, so maybe they'll do that for May 4th again?
They
I don't know, I'm
better.
not gonna get my hopes up.
They better do that, and I want some like serious merch.
Yeah,
Ooh, some merch would be fire.
yes. That would be great. Now that I have, like, adult money to go purchase it, because I did not have the money back then. Like, as a little
Yeah,
kid, I'm, like, using my allowance, I'm like, "Can I please get this toy?"
it gets expensive.
Yeah.
Like Oh gosh. Well, okay, lightsabers alone, depending on what you're getting, hundreds of dollars.
Yep.
You know, if you're a helmet collector like me, $130 a piece. You know, Lego sets, 80 plus, you know, it's yeah, this is expensive.
Yep, it's a thing, but, who would your favorite character be then?
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, yeah, okay. Just 'cause
Yeah,
you feel that, like, big brother connection?
the Big Brother connection. Also, too, his personality, I feel, is very similar to mine. He kind of has this, which I'm working on. He's got this very, like, almost black and white kind of outlook on things where, like, this is the way, and, like, there is no gray, you know, where Anakin loves to, like, operate in that gray. I'm not that way. And I'm trying to loosen up a little bit, but yeah, and I feel like when I'm watching the movies, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how I would have handled that too, you know? Because I just like connect with that. And so I think just our personalities are very similar, and the way he like handles Anakin with all the different like shenanigans that Anakin is doing, I'm like, yeah, I would have probably said the same exact thing or had the same like reaction. So definitely Obi-Wan. That's why I like too, like in the back here, I've got the thing that says OBG Kenobi.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so Obi-Wan for sure.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I guess the last question about your Star Wars love origin,
Yeah.
where or I guess I know we're getting a few new shows that are coming out, but
Yeah.
from what that we've gotten, what has been your favorite show, whether it's animated or live action?
Hmm. That's a good one. That is a good one. Man, you know, I'm easily pleased. I'm not one of these fans that um I don't know, really just want to hate on everything. I'm just not that person. Um but my favorite is probably still going to be The Mandalorian. I'm gonna
Okay.
say The Mandalorian. You know, season 3 was a mixed bag, but there was a lot of episodes in season 3 that I really loved. So you know, it's not like what some people think. For me, I'm like everybody's like, season 3 was complete crap. I'm like, no, it wasn't. You know, but there was some episodes in there. I was like, yeah, that wasn't needed. So, but I really did enjoy Ahsoka a lot. And I feel like with Ahsoka, a lot of people didn't understand it and maybe understand, at least in the beginning, Ahsoka's character arc. Because a lot of people, like in the beginning, they were like, "Oh, she's so like rigid, and she's always, you know, with her arms crossed, and you know, all of that." But I feel like people who did that or were thinking that they really didn't think through what is actually going on, right? So Ahsoka's definitely not the character of the Clone Wars anymore. She
Yeah.
was very young. And now, you know, she's a grown woman. So she basically went from child soldier, you know, and just seen death for years. And then had to, if you've read the book, she had to go into basically hiding, and she was, you know, traveling to different planets and all of that. And so um, you know, she's been through a lot. She's not going to be the fun, loving, bubbly snips, you know, that we grew to know in Ahsoka. And so she's calloused, you know? And so how could you expect her to be one way? If you did, that's ignorant, you know? And so I think Dave Filoni wrote it correctly where, you know, she's calloused and then everything with Sabine and, you know, just being frustrated. But you can clearly see the character growth as the season goes on and she loosens up a little bit, you know, and which is great. If you expected her to be anything other than a little calloused, then I don't know what world you live in, you know. And that's just my personal opinion. So, so personally, I actually really loved Ahsoka, and I'm excited for more. So I would say those two would be, which is hard for me to say because I'm such an Obi-Wan fan that there was sections of Obi-Wan that I was like, yo, this is fire. But then there was a lot of things where I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
And that's a lot for me. It's got to be real bad for me to be like, yeah, this is bad. Like the Princess Leia chase scene, garbage, or
Yeah.
like where they got her in the trench coat and they're like moving through that like section and like how do you not see them? Like it's like clear as day. Like there's just so many different things. Riva not
Yeah.
needed.
No.
Um, but the battle scene at the end,
Yeah.
mind blowing. So I don't know. There was Obi-Wan is for sure mixed bag for me. But if I have to just choose one, I'm gonna say The Mandalorian because it's already 3 seasons in and it's the most consistent. Where Ahsoka's only been 1 season, so I can't really like grant it, my favorite yet.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Mando season 1 and 2. I think 3, as you said, was definitely a mixed bag. I don't think it was absolutely awful because there was stuff in there that I really enjoyed, but comparing it to 1 and 2, I don't think it was the best season.
Right.
Like, I mean, we got Jack Black. I love him. I love Lizzo. They were not needed by any means.
No shot.
Yeah, and then I did really like Ahsoka, but I felt it was because I had the background, and I totally understand what Filoni was doing. I had watched Clone Wars, I had watched Rebels, I
Right.
understood, why she was Ahsoka the Grey, and I understood who Hera and Sabine and Ezra were, whereas I feel like a lot of people who may have just watched the show without having the background knowledge of, like, from watching Rebels or the Clone Wars, it was probably a harder viewing experience, and that's probably why those comments were made. But I
Yeah.
feel like Filoni did, like, every episode I thought was really good of Ahsoka. Like, I think hands down, like, I could watch those 8 episodes over and over and over because they were just phenomenal, especially 5. That was
Ooh.
crazy.
Oh,
That
5
was
was
absolutely
insane.
insane. We got Hayden again, and I'm definitely looking forward to what they're gonna do with season 2. I know that they already kind of announced that that's in the works, so I'm very excited for that. But I know that they're also working on the Mando movie and
Mhm.
perhaps a season 4. What are your thoughts on that? Are they gonna, like, kind of make a comeback from season 3 or
Yeah, so I just read, I want to say like a day ago or so, that season 4 of Mandalorian is not like they don't know if they're gonna do it. Where I thought
okay,
for a while there it was gonna be they were gonna do season 4, excuse me, season 4 in the movie, but reports are now saying that there might not be a season 4. They might just be doing the movie. So I guess we'll find out. Um, I personally think, hmm, I think the movie should be a standalone from the show. Only because I don't want to happen what happened with Ahsoka to happen with this movie. Because what's going to happen is, Star Wars is finally going to be, excuse me, my goodness, it's finally going to be in the box office.
yeah,
Blockbuster hit. It's been years. And then you're going to put a movie in theaters where they have to watch 3 other seasons to know what's going on. That doesn't make logical sense. And so you're gonna get a lot of people that are like, oh, Star Wars, that don't have a Disney Plus subscription, but they've seen all the movies. They're still fans, right? They might not be fans like us, but they're still
yeah,
fans in like Star Wars in movies. That's a theater experience. We're gonna go, and then they're gonna sit there and be like, what is happening? That's not smart,
yeah,
at least from a business perspective. So it should be its own movie, standalone, its own adventure, the whole nine. If you want to have it end in a way that it connects maybe to another movie, or like the Mando versus Ahsoka situation, then that's fine. But you shouldn't have to watch the seasons in order to be able to start with this movie. The other thing too is that um Grogu is, still a baby, and they're going to keep him still young because you can't go to the grocery store and not see Grogu's on something. And so they're going to use everything that they possibly can to make sure that when people see the Mandalorian and Grogu, they know exactly who this is, this fuzzy little creature that they see everywhere. it's gonna buzz. It's gonna create the buzz. People are gonna come and see it. They don't want people to be lost. If they're smart and they want the movie to do well, in my opinion, that's what they would do.
Yeah.
You know, so now as a fan, I've seen season 1, 2, and 3 about 4 times each, and you connect it, great, you know. Um, but from a business perspective, I don't think that's going to be smart. Now they could do like some sort of flashbacks and stuff like that, where kind of catch people up so that the stuff from the seasons are kind of sprinkled in. So, like for us, we know what's going on, but you don't have to see those seasons to be like understand like the premise of the movie. That would be cool too.
Yeah, definitely. No, I totally get what you're saying. I think it would be difficult because I think if you want to draw people to the theaters to watch it, they shouldn't have to go watch 3 seasons beforehand. But I
Right.
do kind of hope it has some connection to the 3 seasons because we did watch them. But I would be okay if it didn't and it's a completely different story because I think that might like I don't know after the movie if they're gonna do like continue Mando's story. Like, is this
Yeah.
gonna be it? Like, it's just the movie, and then that's the end of Mando and Grogu, at least for now? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't
Could be
know. I
interesting.
mean, what's cool about season 3 is the way that it ends. It
Yeah,
ends pretty like with the bow tied, kind of like, okay, this is a conclusion to this story. So it kind of leads up perfectly for a movie to be a standalone. Because you know how where it ends, he's sitting on the porch,
yep, and the
Grogu's
little
playing with the
cottage.
frogs, the little cottage, right? Um, let's say they start the movie right like in that section and then they go on whatever the new adventure is. That would work because the way season 3 ended, it kind of put a bow and a ribbon on that like circumstance and that situation. So it could work that way because of the way they ended season 3. So
Yeah,
I don't know, just
we'll
a
see.
thought.
Yeah, and very good thoughts, good speculation. I'm definitely excited for what's to come. I mean, Ahsoka season 2, we've got the Mando movie probably within a year or 2.
For
We've got
sure.
the Acolyte. I don't know what to think about Skeleton Crew. I feel like I just have not seen any info about it. The
Yeah.
Ray movie, but I don't know. I've seen things about that being put on hold, so I
They're
don't.
in casting right now, from what
Okay,
I
so they
hear.
are moving it forward.
Yeah, from what I hear, it's still a go. They're looking for raise apprentices or something like that from the last thing I read. So they're still in the casting mode. So I think that's
Huh,
what's going on there. So we'll
we'll
see.
see.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean the Acolyte. Have you seen the trailer for the Acolyte?
I haven't. I've tried finding it because I know Tony and Ricky mentioned that they saw like clips of it at Celebration, and it's like a whole bunch of Jedi like igniting their lightsaber, and it has like that Attack of the Clones like
Oh yeah,
feel. And I can't find it anywhere on YouTube, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like you get like little clips of it, and it's this guy like standing behind someone else like recording. But
yeah,
I've heard good things about it, so I'm definitely very excited for that. And it's supposed to take place in a time period that I feel like hasn't been explored.
for
So I
sure.
feel like that's gonna be really cool. Like we're finally gonna see Jedi like out in the open. There's no Order
Yes,
66. Like that'll be really cool to see because I feel like we've lived in this time period now for a while where the Jedi aren't allowed to like just walk around with their lightsabers out. They can't use the Force. They have to be in hiding. So I think it'd be cool to like kind of go back to that time period. I think
100.
that'll be really cool. But yeah, I really want to see the trailer, but I thought we were gonna get it during the Super Bowl.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
They might. I think if they're smart, I don't know. I always say that, but I'm also not Hollywood. So, in my opinion, if they dropped it on May 4th, that'd be dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be dope. We'll see. I've seen it. Um, it looks awesome. It looks awesome. And that's another thing too. It's like you think Star Wars, you think Jedi, and just like you said, a lot of the stuff that we've gotten, they're not able to just kind of live freely. Where we will be able to get that with this season. So I am very excited for that. Regarding Skeleton Crew, I know a lot less
Yeah.
about that one, but from what I hear, it's kind of like the Goonies meets space, but that's just kind of what other people have told me. I haven't seen any kind of trailers. I really don't know much besides like it's going to be a bunch of kids, you know. So I don't know. I don't know where that's going to go, but anything Star Wars, I'm down. I'm down for, you know. So hopefully it turns out really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna get my hopes up, but I trust in Filoni, and I've liked everything that he's done so far, so I think anything that he kind of, like, puts his little magic touch on will be good, but I just
Yeah,
don't know what to expect, so I'm trying to stay optimistic,
for sure.
and, but I don't know, we'll see. I'm very excited for Acolyte, though. I think that's, like, my most anticipated project for, like, this year at least.
For sure. In Filoni we trust, right?
100%. Filoni for
So
president.
I want to go back. We were talking about the Mandalorian movie. When they do it and when it, that movie ends, obviously, if it does incredible, because,
Yeah,
Disney's slowing down all of their like content. They're going to slow it down to do quality over quantity, which I'm good with. Um, if the Mandalorian does really well and it crushes, I doubt they're going to do another season. I think they'll just probably, in my opinion, slot it for another movie. Why would like if the movie does great, like why
yeah.
wouldn't you? If you're making money off of it, it did well. The fandom, like, as a whole loves it. Like that makes sense business wise and for us because that's what we're gonna want. Like if we go watch that movie, we're like, yo, that was insane, and everybody loves it. We want more,
Mhm.
So it would be a win-win. So I don't know
Yeah, we'll see. A lot to look forward to.
for
But you
sure.
also sent me some pictures of your collection, or at least what you kind of have out behind you.
Right.
So we can jump into that. So walk me through it. What do we have that's actually behind you right now?
Yeah, so I got a lot behind me, and there's also a lot packed away in boxes due to a move that I'm about to be going through in less than a month. But I have a lot of Black Series helmets. I think I have about 12 helmets at this point. So let me double check that. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I got 12 helmets there. We got some Lego sets. The big R2D2 you see at the bottom right corner, that's actually a popcorn maker,
Oh,
which is
wow.
really cool. So the head, I wonder, it's kind of barricaded in. The head kind of like pops off and it becomes your popcorn bowl. And
Cool.
then, yeah, you know what? I'm going to grab it. Is that
Okay.
cool? I'm
Yeah,
grab
go
it.
for it. There
Here's
he is.
R2. All right. So the head pops off, flips it over, and it's your popcorn bucket. And then there's a piece back here that if I pop it off, and then you clip this to the front here like this, and then you put the popcorn bucket underneath it, it will drop the popcorn into the bucket for you. And it like, all the kernels you put in here, and then this little piece at the top is specifically for you to put like butter in. And since this gets hot, it'll melt the butter for you. And this is just
Nice.
popping popcorn like the movies, and then it'll just pop it into the bucket. It is hilarious.
Yeah. Have you
So,
actually, like, made popcorn in it, or is it kinda
oh
just
yeah,
yeah? Okay.
oh yeah. When it's
That's
when we're doing like a Star Wars movie night or something, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go get R2. My wife's like, yeah, go get him, go get him. So we'll put him like right on the counter. That thing's freaking popping because he's quite large too.
yeah.
Um, I got this for Christmas from my parents one year, and I was like, at first I was like, what am I gonna do with this? But I'm like, now I love it. So
Yeah. It's a cool little piece. Maybe I need to get a little popcorn bucket or a R2 popcorn maker.
dude, it's so cool. I've even seen like I think it's R2 toaster,
Ooh,
which I thought was pretty cool. And I've seen a Death Star waffle maker.
ooh,
Super
okay,
cool. Yeah.
nice. Okay.
All right. Yeah. So so I've got a bunch of helmets, Lego sets. I've also got a bunch of lightsabers that you don't see in my shots. Quite a bit of them are packed, but I actually pulled some out specifically for this. So earlier you saw the Graphilex, which I absolutely love. This is a NeoPixel. This is complete unit. I do have here Luke's lightsaber,
Ooh,
which I absolutely love. The thing is gorgeous. Is that focus? There we go. No, maybe it doesn't like me today, but it's a beautiful hilt
yeah, it is.
and super fun, very heavy. My other, my actually my absolute favorite lightsaber is I was actually playing with it yesterday, so is this Obi-Wan.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
And it's weathered. This thing is, I don't know if it's, there we go, I think right there. Oh, it's gorgeous. But yeah, I got that. And then yeah, I think I got like 12 or 13 sabers. Those are going to be like my most like my babies, you know? Um, oh, I got Yoda's lightsaber. Let me see if I can
Ooh,
find that one.
the little one.
Yeah. I've got Darth Revan's
Oh, nice.
lightsaber as well.
Yeah, his saber's clean.
Ooh, almost dropped it. Yeah, have you read the book?
I haven't. It's on my list.
The book's insane. The book's
Okay,
insane.
good to
Um,
know. I'm like slowly making my way through like Dark Disciple right now. Like
I
a few
just
pages.
I just got it, so I gotta read it. This is Yoda's.
Oh, the thing is so tiny. That's crazy.
It's look how small this thing is. Com- Compared to
To the other.
like
Yeah,
let's see here. I'm too close. Look at the size difference.
yeah. Yoda's is tiny, but I get it. He's a small guy.
Oh, it makes complete sense. It makes complete sense. If it was huge, I'm like, guys, what are we doing?
Yeah,
What are we doing here? Yeah.
nice. Is it like
Yeah.
just as heavy, or like is it lighter just because it's smaller?
It's way lighter. Yeah. It's like nothing. And the blade size is tiny. It's pretty cool. Honestly, if you want a lightsaber that's like great for travel, this is the guy. Because this is the whole saber.
Oh yeah, it's tiny. Even the blade is like small.
Everything. It's in diameter too. Super small. I mean, it's a wonder. I love it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, where do you get most of do you get your sabers from, like, one company, or do you kind of, like, spread it out and, like, kind of do a bunch of them?
It depends on what I'm looking for. I would say pretty even. I get them from a couple different places. So when I first started, I started getting them from Imperial Workshop, but then the things that I was looking for became different. So then I was doing like Vader sabers. I got a few Vader sabers, Kyber Armory, End sabers as well. And these are all actually companies that have invested in me as well, and have sent me product for reviews and stuff like that. So since they've shown me love, I continue to show them love as well. So yeah, I would say those would be the main companies. Kyber Armory, Vader Sabers, and End Sabers. They do they do me well. There's another company called Super Neo X that I've been in conversations with as well. So shout out to them. But yeah, I would say those main companies. But now, when I'm looking for like something that's like super elevated, I might go to like Corbanth or something like that. But then you're also talking like a huge price increase,
Yeah.
Or if I want like a prop, I've been looking at some of the old school like EFX,
Mhm.
lightsaber props, but those don't work. Those would be just purely like on the shelf. But at the same time, I've got so many lightsabers that work that I don't need it to turn on, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's it. I mean, I got a lot of posters too that are packed up, unfortunately, at the moment. But in the new house, it's gonna be dope because I'm gonna be, a whole bedroom is gonna be turned into a studio. So I'm very excited. I
Yeah.
also got a ton of Legos. I've even got a bunch of Legos that I haven't even built yet. Like I got a huge Millennium Falcon, not the black box one,
Okay. Like
like
the play
the
scale one.
actually I have it right here. Let me see.
I know the big black ones, like the Ultimate Collector's series. Yeah,
I can't
the
afford that.
they're so big. Yeah, that's a cool one. I have that one.
I haven't built it yet though because it's like 1,400 pieces, and then it's probably going to be like this big. And I'm like, where am I going to put that? It doesn't fit anywhere. So I don't know. I've had it for over a year and some and plus months. I don't even know how long. I've had it for a long time, and it's just sitting there. Like I've got also two. I got some Tie Fighters. Haven't built it. I've got a few ships. I haven't built it. I've got what is that? Oh, I've got the speeder bike chase scene.
Nice.
I haven't built that. Uh, I don't know. I've got some helmets like Scout Trooper and a couple other ones that I haven't built yet. So many Legos, not including like my Black Series stuff, like my
Yeah.
Black Series figures. Forget about it. But I think I'm gonna stop buying those because I don't open them. I just put them in like a box, and it's just a child in me. I buy them because I'm like ooh, and then it comes home and then it just sits in the corner or I put it in a box or something like that. I'm like, it's kind of like a waste of money when somebody else that's actually going to enjoy it could be enjoying it, but I'm like hoarding it like a pack rat. So so you know, so I don't know. I think I might unless it's like something I really like really need. Technically, I guess I don't really need any of these things, but yeah, I think I'm gonna I probably slow down on the black figures, continue on the helmets and the lightsabers, and I think I'm also gonna slow down on the Legos. The other thing with the Legos too is like, man, I haven't had time to sit down and like build the Lego set in a hot minute. I just don't have the time because with YouTube too, I've really ramped it up. Like I'm going live every week, and I'm also dropping a review video every week. And with the editing and all of that, like it takes time. So that's like 8 videos a month. That's a lot.
Yep.
It's a lot. So between the editing and all of that, I'm like, where am I gonna find the time to also just sit here and build Legos because I have no leisure time anymore. The time that I have hanging out is doing this. So
Yeah, I totally get it. I have a bunch of like I've always been a very big Lego collector. Like even when I was young, like I used to build Lego sets, and then I kind of like chilled out. And then when COVID hit, I got back into kind of building because I just had all this time on my hands. So I've got like a huge backlog of sets that I have just sitting in the box because I feel like I won. Even if I did build them, I have no idea where I'm going to put them. Some of them are so big. And
yep.
then two, I just feel like, when I do have the time, I feel like I have to do something else. Like I either got to study, I got to record and edit. There's always just something that takes precedence over building Lego sets. But I do really like building them because I feel like if I'm just building it by myself, I'm not recording myself doing it. Like it is a stress reliever. Like I really enjoy building Lego sets, and that's why I started building them again.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I don't have the time, or I don't really make the time to build them anymore. So they're just sitting in a corner, just like piling up.
Yeah, that's growing up. There's just other things that are just gonna take time from you that are just gonna take precedence over something else. And so like with YouTube, obviously, you gotta make it a priority.
Yep.
You're making YouTube videos, so the editing and the recording and the writing the script or whatever it is that you're gonna be doing, like you need to set up because we're cranking these things out weekly,
Yep.
and so yeah, and especially if you're studying too, man, you don't have no time.
Yeah, I'm basically doing full-time school. I'm doing an accelerated nursing program, so I
Yep.
Like, sometimes even I just don't even feel like I have the time to really even edit my videos, and I, like, really have to put the time in to, like, really kind of study, and so that way I can have the time to do this because
Right.
I enjoy doing it and I like putting out content, but it is time consuming, and, like,
Oh
that's
yeah.
when I kinda feel like it starts feeling like a job, like a second job, and I don't ever want it to feel that way because I do really enjoy doing this, but it definitely is a huge time commitment, especially the more videos that you're trying to put out, the more editing you're trying to do, the level of video that you're trying to produce. Like it definitely can become more time consuming than when you first start. Because when I first started, I was like, oh, whatever. Like, I'm just going to throw everything into iMovie, call it a day, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm editing, I'm putting like pictures and stuff in there, or I'm like voice recording some parts, and it becomes like a whole thing.
Oh yeah, because then also too, it's not just like your YouTube like long form videos, but now you're not even talking about like the shorts.
Yeah.
Like the TikTok, Instagram ones or the YouTube shorts, like that is a creation in and
Yeah.
of itself. Then you gotta start thinking about thumbnails and the description, and there's a lot of hidden tasks that people don't see that take a lot of time. And so
100%.
like after this, like I got to make a few thumbnails, and so like what I've been doing is I've just been batching a lot of my work, so that it creates more space. I'm like, you know what, today I'm just gonna sit down for a few hours and I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, and then I'm gonna worry about that for like 2 weeks. And so yeah, it's a struggle.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get it. So, I mean, some questions in regard to your collection. I know that a
yeah,
lot of it is put away.
yeah.
You mentioned that you kind of seriously kind of got into collecting like a couple years ago,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Would you say that your primary focus is like lightsabers and helmets,
one
or do
hundred
you kind of
percent.
just, yeah, okay,
Yeah, yeah. Primary focus is definitely helmets and lightsabers. I would say lightsabers number one, and then helmets two. Helmets kind of, I wasn't like really, I wasn't looking actually in the beginning to collect helmets. Actually, the Bo Katan helmet that I have is actually my first helmet. And the way I got that was I was at a GameStop, and it was sitting at like on a shelf. And this was actually before, somehow they had it before it had like released and they had it for sale. And but at the time I didn't really know that because I wasn't like into the helmet game at that time. I was like, oh, that's dope. So I pick it up. I was like, yo, like, how much is this? And I was like, you know what? Like, that'd be cool for the channel, something different than a lightsaber. Let's pick it up. So I purchased it, brought it home. Ended up being like one of the only, like at the time, Bo-Katan reviews on YouTube. And the video ended up doing really well. I was like, there's a market for that. But I remember opening up that helmet for the first time, and I was like, this thing is crazy. The detail on the Hasbro helmets, awesome. Let me hold on. Let me make sure I don't run my dog over. Um, like this thing is insane.
yeah.
Like people, I don't. Do you have one of these?
I actually don't have any helmets, but I really
Okay.
do wanna get some. I don't know how to, like, really go about it.
Yeah. Well, we could talk offline about that. I give you all the deets. But like these like scratch marks and like the wear and stuff here, they're actually like a metallic finish. Like you can see the Beskar like peeking through the paint. Like just that detail is insane. I'm like, what? You would think that it would just be like painted and like, I don't know, just give it like an illusion. Nah, it's actually like a metallic look, which is wild. I don't know. Hasbro is insane. And then like the detail on the interior of these things,
Yeah, that's crazy.
just I don't know. So when I pulled this thing out of the box, I was like, dude, I love this thing. So um that's how I got into helmets. This helmet right here. Put this
Gotcha.
back. My channel was originally just going to be like lightsabers and Lego sets, honestly. Um, because that's what I was doing at the time. But then helmets stole my heart. So now I got a bunch of helmets, and so still just but mainly now helmets and sabers.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then I guess my last question for you would be, what is your favorite or most valuable piece in your collection?
Ooh.
Could be monetary, it could be something that just really means the most to you. I know it's the hardest question. It always kind of gets everyone.
That's difficult.
Yeah.
Um, I got it. Let me grab it.
Ooh.
So it'll be this Captain Rex helmet right here. Um, so this was a gift from my wife. A long like I don't know, a while ago. I was collecting whatever, and I don't think it was just for like it was for my birthday. That's what it was. So she ordered this. I had no idea, and I opened this thing up, and I was like, "What?" Because I always really wanted a Captain Rex helmet, but at the time Hasbro wasn't making the cap. They didn't have a Captain Rex helmet, and when I opened this thing up, this was mind blowing because I didn't even know she knew I wanted a Captain Rex helmet, and so it was just so unexpected, and I don't know, like just those acts of kindness and those acts of service make this helmet particularly special because of like who I got it from, and kind of it wasn't something that I asked for, but it's something that I got, and from who it comes from too. So this helmet I cherish because like every time I see it, it makes me think of her. So yeah,
Awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So
great.
I don't think any of my collectibles are like super expensive, honestly. I mean my lightsabers are expensive, but not because they have like a super high, like they're not like super rare or anything like that. They're just the technology is expensive,
Yeah.
you know. Um, so yeah, I don't have any like the cool, crazy like EFX things where they made only like 100 of them. I don't have anything like that because I can't afford it.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe one day, but I'm not in that place. But then again, it's for me. I don't really care if it's rare as long as I love it. I'm good. You know?
That's all that matters.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna put this right here. Because if I
that's
go
fine.
bound that way, I'm probably gonna rip the microphone off my headphones.
All good. Well, that was all that I really had for today's episode. Did you have anything
Awesome.
else that you wanted to talk about, or?
No, I had a blast. Thank you for having me. This was absolutely insane. A lot of the places don't really ask me about my collection, so that was really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I had a great time on your podcast, and I'm glad that you enjoyed coming on here. But before we go, can you let the people know one more time where they can follow you if you have anything upcoming that you want them to be on the lookout for?
Yeah, yeah. So remember, guys, I go live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. for the Wookiee Whispers podcast on my GianniV YouTube channel. You can find me across all platforms at IamGianniV. I do product review videos, photos from cons and stuff like that. So if you want to check those cons out and the shorts and the reels and all that, I do all of it. So yeah, all platforms at IamGianniV and 8 p.m. every Tuesday for the Wookiee Whispers podcast.
Awesome. Well, I will leave all your information down in the description. And again, I appreciate you joining me. This was super awesome. And it was great getting to talk to you again because I know I was on your podcast. So it's cool to kind of be
Yeah.
able to do this. But that is all that I have for today. So I will see everyone next Thursday.